Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the Assembly Committee on Judiciary to order. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. Assemblywoman Cohen. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Here. Assemblywoman Hanson. Here. Assemblywoman Hardy. Here. Assemblywoman Kasama. Here. Assemblywoman Krasner. Here. Assemblywoman Marzola. Here. Assemblyman Miller. Present. Assemblywoman Wynn. Here. Assemblyman O'Neill. Here. Assemblyman Ortlicker. Here. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Here. Assemblyman Wheeler. Chairman Yeager.
Here. Please mark Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod absent excused. Everyone else is present. That means we have a quorum. Good morning to those here in the room with us, and good morning to those who may be watching on the internet. I apologize for the late start this morning. Things are a little fluid in the building, but appreciate your patience, and we'll get through this agenda, I think, rather quickly this morning. Just a few quick housekeeping matters. If you could please silence your devices, that would be appreciated. And then the other one really is just be nice to one another. That's just a life thing, not an Assembly Judiciary thing, but it applies here as well. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our agenda. As you can see, members, we have a work session scheduled with 2 bills on the work session agenda. You will, for members of the public who may be watching, you can find the work session document on the legislature's website under Nellis. They'll be there as an exhibit, so if you want to follow along that way, you'll be able to. So at this time, we'll move to the work session, and we're going to first consider Senate Bill 147. I'll hand it over to Ms. Thornton to take us through the work session document.
Thank you, Chairman. Diane Thornton, Policy Analyst, Legislative Counsel Bureau. Our first bill is Senate Bill 147, which establishes provisions relating to conditions of release that prohibit the contact or attempted contact of certain persons, sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the committee to conduct an interim study of issues relating to pretrial release and heard in committee on May 27th. There is one amendment to this bill sponsored by Senator Harris. And the amendment does the following. First, it revises Section 1, subsection 5 of the bill to provide that the court must transmit a copy of the order to the Central Repository for Information Concerning Orders for Protection. It replaces the penalties in Section 1, subsection 6 to provide that in addition to any other remedy available by law, a person who knowingly violates an order imposing a condition of release prohibiting contact is guilty of a misdemeanor. Third, it revises Section 1, subsection 8A1 to include new language regarding when the prosecutor decides not to prosecute. It revises Section 1 to include a new section requiring the court to provide certain warnings to a person if a violation of the order occurs. And lastly, it deletes Section 3 of the bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton, and I'll just explain quickly in case committee members have questions. First, I want to thank the sponsor, Senator Harris, for working with us. Essentially, the amendment accomplishes the intent of the bill. It just does it in a little bit of a different way. Instead of defining violation of a stay-away order as a trespass, it is now its own misdemeanor offense. And then the other provisions really are to ensure that the defendant receives at least a notice of some sort that if they violate a stay-away order, that could result in a new misdemeanor charge and could result in the revocation of bail or other conditions. Now, truthfully, those things already exist in law. If a judge tells you to do something as a condition of your release and you don't do it, your bail can be revoked, other conditions can be imposed, but we're going to want to make sure the court informs the defendant that it could also be another misdemeanor crime. So I think with that, we got everybody to a pretty good place on this bill, and again, thank the sponsor for her work on it. With that being said, do any committee members have questions about the work session document on Senate Bill 147? Assemblyman O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question on the Fourth Amendment to provide certain warnings. Does it state in there written, oral? What's the delivery method?
Thank you, Assemblyman O'Neill. So it doesn't say in this bill. It just says they have to be provided with notice, essentially. So I think our bill leaves that open-ended for the court, but there is another bill, I believe it's Senate Bill 369, which is over in the Senate. It's on the Senate floor right now for a concur, not concur, and that bill requires that all conditions of release be provided to a defendant in writing, and the defendant has to sign the document in writing. So the tricky part of answering your question is neither bill has passed yet. So if they both pass, then the warning would be in writing. If for some reason Senate Bill 369 does not pass, then this bill essentially would leave it to the court's discretion, but they at least have to tell them in court that about the consequences of violating a stay-away order.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair, for that.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, don't see any other questions. At this time, I'll take a motion to amend and do pass.
I'll move to amend and do pass.
Okay, we have a motion from Vice Chair Nguyen. I had like 7 seconds there, I think, but I was looking over at Assemblyman O'Neill and he had his hand up, so I'll give him the second. Any discussion on the motion? Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
I just, thank you, Chair Yeager. I just want to say thank you to all parties involved and to the community concerned folks who work together to get us here. I'm always happy when we can find just some middle ground, and I'm grateful. So thank you so much.
Very well stated, and I will echo that as well. We're on day 118 today, and so the fact that we're able to get this up and down so quickly, appreciate the hard work. I know the light is here at the end of the tunnel, but we're still working, and so I agree with you 100% on that. Any further discussion? Okay, don't see further discussion. Again, the motion is to amend and do pass Senate Bill 147. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor. Who would like the floor statement? Do we have any volunteers? Assemblyman O'Neill, you have it. Thank you. So we'll move on to the second work session bill on the agenda, and that would be Senate Bill 236. Ms. Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. Senate Bill 236 is sponsored by Senator Harris and heard in committee on May 27th. This bill requires every law enforcement agency to establish an early warning system to identify officers who display bias indicators or other problematic behavior. The bill also establishes provisions relating to traffic stops conducted by officers. And finally, the bill requires the Legislative Commission to appoint a committee to conduct an interim study related to the establishment of crisis call centers, and there are no amendments to the measure.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Do we have any questions about Senate Bill 236 as detailed on the work session document? Assemblyman Wheeler?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sorry, next year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm still going to have to be opposed to this bill. I think that the police departments are doing their best right now to make sure that everyone is weeded out. They've been doing this for years and years and years. And this is going to make some of the cops on the street a little more hesitant to do things, and that could create, very dangerous situations. So I'm going to have to be a definite no on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblyman Wheeler. And again, we are on questions. We heard a comment, but we'll put that in the appropriate place in the agenda. But are there questions about the bill? Okay, don't see questions. And I'll note for the record that Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod has joined us, and we are about to take a motion on Senate Bill 236. At this time, do I have a motion to do pass?
I'd second.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Gonzalez. We have a second from Vice Chair Nguyen. We have the prior comment from Assemblyman Wheeler. Is there additional discussion on the motion? Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. I certainly appreciate that we do a study and to be watching out for these things. We can always do better. I do appreciate what law enforcement does. I know it's not perfect. There's just some language that's a little bit subjective still in my mind. So at this point, I'm going to have to be a no, but I appreciate the work that's been done. I appreciate our attention being brought to what we can do in these agencies to do and be on the lookout for problematic behavior. So I do support that, but just a little too broad. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further discussion on the motion? Okay, I don't see further discussion. Again, the motion is to do pass Senate Bill 236. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Nay. Could I have a show of hands? So we have nays from Assemblyman Wheeler, Assemblywoman Hardy, Assemblywoman Hanson, Assemblywoman Kasama, Assemblywoman Krasner, and Assemblyman O'Neill. That means the motion does carry. Who would like the floor statement? Do I have any volunteers? A lot of volunteers. We'll give it to Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod since she was a little bit late this morning, so that's her. But the truth is we probably won't be reading the floor statements anyway, so it's not much of a punishment. So committee members, that takes us through our work session document. Let's go to our final item on the agenda, which is public comment. As a way of reminder, we reserve up to 30 minutes for public comment. Public commenters have 2 minutes to provide public comment. Public comment is a time to raise matters of a general nature within the jurisdiction of the hardworking Assembly Judiciary Committee. Do we have any public comment here in the room in Carson City? It looks like we have 4 individuals in the audience. They are smiling and happy to be here on a Saturday morning, but it doesn't look like anyone wants to provide public comment. So, BPS, could we go to the phone lines and see if there's anybody joining us there for public comment?
Good morning, Chair. Thank you. For callers wishing to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. For callers wishing to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers for public comment.
Thank you, BPS. I will close public comment. Before we talk about where we go from here, is there anything else from the committee this morning? Assemblywoman Gonzalez?
Thank you so much, Chair. As we know, this is probably one of our last judiciary meetings of the 81st session. And so I just wanted to thank Chairman Yeager so much for all your hard work on this committee and honestly, all your kindness. You're like one of the kindest people in this building, along with Senator Orenshaw that we all love so much. But I just wanted to thank you and Vice Chair Wynn as well for just your leadership on this committee and in this building to a lot of us freshmen. And I also just want to thank all the staff for all the hours and long work. You know, we think we have it bad, but you guys are often here later than us getting ready for us. So I just wanted to extend a thank you and to just note that your kindness is not forgotten. Thank you. It is the day. I don't even know what day it is. So please forgive me. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Time is kind of irrelevant. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know where we are, but I appreciate your words. Anyone else from the committee? Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod.
It's day 118. I just want to say mostly ditto, except that forget, not forget. And no, honestly, it's thank you.
Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
I want to say ditto as well. As a freshman, this has been a heck of an experience, and I promise I will not sing your theme song in front of the public.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? It's not required to say that you all love me, just so you know. I don't control your bills anymore.
In that case.
That's funny. Assemblyman O'Neill?
And I've got coming from the other side, it really does show, though, the commonality that we have coming together, both Republicans and Democrats, on looking at the bills, and your leadership has helped that tremendously. And I think, speaking with Ms. Gonzalez, what she had in her speech was actually, she said, what I heard was, she hopes that staff forgives us for all that we put them through, and that we shall never forget all that they have done for us to keep us on track and actually make us look good when we really aren't at times. So thank you, Chair, and thank you, staff, so very, very much.
Thank you. Assemblyman Miller, would you like to say something? No? Okay.
Ditto to everything everyone else said. And I would like to say that it would be so amazing if we could always, even on opposite sides of the aisle, provide the cover that you just provided, in just acknowledging and trying to reshape and say this is, because that's how we work together as a body. And we've learned that no better than in this house, where our chair and vice chair are always willing to give consideration and kindness to everyone to participate, to have their voice, and to, to be protected as we make hard decisions, to give us wisdom and guidance in how we do that. And so I love what you just said and how you, work that out. And I don't know. I'm kind of like, all this kindness, off with this hedge. No.
Assemblyman, I was going to recommend you for the floor prayer this afternoon, but I don't know if we can do that now with that final comment. So as you know, committee, we do have 2 days left in session. There's always a chance that we could have another meeting. But in the event that this will be our last meeting, could be our last meeting, I want to say a couple things. It's an honor to chair this committee, and just want to thank all of you for your hard work. My vice chair has been fantastic, and as you all said, I think we get criticized a lot in this building for being partisan. And I think the public doesn't always see that we have hard conversations with each other, and we're trying to do the best work we can do for the state. And certainly, all of you have played a huge part in that. This is a very difficult committee to sit on. We put in long hours. We hear a lot of bills. But I just want to say what an honor it is to have all of you here on this journey. And then our staff, our staff is amazing. I think whatever you see them doing, that's like the tip of the iceberg in terms of what they're doing behind the scenes. And that's not just our staff here you see in the committee, but we have our committee manager. We have BPS, who is like, remember we were on Zoom at the beginning of this session, right? It seems like a year ago now, but they made that happen and made this process more accessible than it's ever been in the public. So, to our bill drafters, to our police officers, to our custodial staff, there's just a lot of people that work really hard in this building, and they don't always get the recognition. And so I would like to, we've done this already, but I would like to ask for a round of applause for all of those who do the real work in this building. And then, finally, just members of the public, our lobbyists, our activists. It's nice to have some people in the room today, but we know this was an incredibly difficult session at the beginning, having to call in on the phone, having to be in on Zoom, not being able to meet with legislators, and we just thank you for your patience as we tried to work through this pandemic and do it in a safe and effective way. We appreciate you and your input and your expertise into this process. And then, to our freshmen, I'll say this, those of you who are your first time in the building, what a session to have as your first session. And so I think we probably could have provided a little bit better guidance along the way, but the way the building opened up and operated was just very, very unique. So thank you for always being flexible. And I think hopefully all of you will decide to come back next session, and we'll hit the ground running in the committee room with a full room of people. So now that I've given my remarks, although I'd like this meeting to last forever because you're all saying very nice things about me, I will just leave it at that. And so we are going to adjourn here momentarily. We do have agendas for the next 2 days. Just stay tuned. I'll let you know if we're going to meet or not, and feel free to contact me if you have questions about that. So in the event this is our last meeting, thank you all so very much, and we will see you sometime very soon. This meeting is adjourned.